my God, I'm gorgeous. I'm gorgeous. Okay, I gotta shrink this down. Okay, test. 1 2 1 2. Welcome to Gab with Sab. It's your host, Sabrina Stangler. Don't get it twisted. It is not Strangler. Some people have said that. Others have said Spangler. There's only really the Strangler is the big one. The big slip up. I have a name tag over there with Strangler on it. And I also have received awards with the word or with the name Strangler. And it's like not a big deal. I'm not trying to talk about this like, oh my goodness, like woe is me. But I just think it's interesting, and I just thought about it while I was telling you my name, and so here we are. Welcome to the episode. I was sitting down intending to re-record the end of last episode, but then I watched it back to see where I needed to like pick up, and I was like, no, I kind of nailed it. And I'll tell you what I thought I nailed, and that is my discussion of Noah Khan. And Noah Kahan, I don't know, I haven't posted last week's episode, and thus and therefore I don't know what you guys think and what you guys call it, so I will be addressing that in the following episode, whether or not it's Khan or Kahan. So instead, I am sitting down to record a dedicated episode for this. And another reason I wanted to re-record the end of last week's episode was because after editing it, like reducing the word gaps and removing filler words with Descript, which I do have an affiliate link for actually in the description. Big shout out to them for accepting me into their creator program, even though I obviously have very little to show for an audience. And so, not that I'm not grateful for each and every one of you, like, don't get it twisted, I am. But after I cut it down in Descript, it was only 40 minutes. And I was like, whoa. The last 2 episodes have been an hour, and I've been feeling pretty good about that. And so, 40 minutes, and, you know, actually recording for 1 hour in real time, I feel like that's good for me. However, it seems, and like some have said to me, that 40 minutes is probably like, you know, it's a more consumable episode. It's a more easily consumable episode. I might have reason to believe that it's more likely that somebody might click or might stay through the full duration of the video if it's shorter. I think that I have been trying to ignore that for a couple reasons. One, because I want to like stay true and authentic to like what feels right for like the art that I create, and not trying to like succumb to like this is what other people are doing and doing it just for that reason. I've been a nonconformist in that way, like, since day one, and for better or for worse, like, I'm not here to do what the other girls are doing. Saying that as Brittany Broski's, like, #1 clone, I'm sure that Brittany Broski has clones that are much more decorated individuals, you could say. So I'm not, like, her biggest clone, but, like, I might be very similar. I'm like in the running, but I am a nonconformist at heart. And so anyways, I was resistant to that idea, but I also want to start making weekly episodes. And so I think part of that might mean having like a shorter list of topics, because it's just only been, 7 days approximately. And so I want to write down more stuff, but I want to, and I do a good job of writing stuff down. Like I'm not really worried about like forcing it, but I'm worried about being able to capture my thoughts when I'm like laying in bed at night, because I don't have my phone next to me. And even if I did, I'm not like really trying to open up like a screen. Not that, I mean, I got bedtime mode, okay? We got technology for that. Like, it's not that crazy to open up a screen at bedtime. But anyway, if I want to do weekly episodes, I might need to commit to the idea that the episodes are going to be shorter. And so let me know what you think about that. Like, this feels like a really big deal for me, obviously. And so I wonder, as the viewer, like, what are the length of other podcasts you're watching? And how does this stack up? And like, I'm going to ask you to speculate a little bit. Do you wish they were shorter? Like, do you straight up, you would not be a villain for having an opinion? Do you know what I mean? Is this tilted? My phone is tilted, dude. I thought that this was crooked. Okay, it's still a little crooked. I'm willing to work with it. Arthur has joined the podcast. Okay, so this is all to say that I have got a fresh list of topics for us to get into. And my first order of business is that I recorded a demo demo, like not a demo, like just a test clip. And I just said in it something to the effect of like, oh my God, I'm so gorgeous. Because I was looking in the viewfinder, my screen, and I was just like, oh my God, like I'm kind of really eating. And so I don't know, I'm feeling good about myself. I have like a new makeup. I have a new makeup regimen as I debuted last episode, and I'm loving putting glitter on my face. Like, it's really fun. It's really, really fun. I would really recommend playing with makeup, even if it's like discouraging at times and feeling like whatever this is, it's bad. When in effect, it's just not for you. That's kind of my opinion. Like, I think if you want to like exercise your creative muscle in a way that lends itself towards more like bringing you towards a more accurate reflection of yourself, and maybe the more accurate reflection of yourself is no makeup, in which case like that then don't do this. Like, that's not your truth. But if you're feeling drawn towards makeup and you're feeling like stuff is not working, I guess I'm here to say that like I have pushed through. And as a nonconformist at heart, as I was saying, I didn't want to like glitter because it was girly. And that is like actually as simple as it is, unfortunately. And fortunately, that's something I can address. We can work on our internalized misogyny. We can work on, being a girl's girl, if you will. I believe we have the capacity for change because I myself have changed. Whatever. Oh, my first order of business was that I recorded this thing saying I'm gorgeous and beautiful. And then the Descript like titled the project for me, Gorgeous Self-Reflection, Humble Shrinkage. Because I also said I have to shrink the viewfinder down, or like the Descript program. And so I said, oh my God, I'm gorgeous. Okay, I gotta shrink this down, meaning Descript. And it titled it Gorgeous Self-Reflection, Humble Shrinkage. Let me say that again. Gorgeous Self-Reflection, Humble Shrinkage. So Descript thinks I'm humble, and maybe that is kind of like the AI effect of it, like affirming me. This is my first time running into that, because I'm not like a regular AI user, in that like I've said this on the podcast before, I use it to code. That is all I use it for. I have flirted with the idea of using it for like, I don't know, I've flirted with the idea of using it, and I always come to the conclusion that like I can just do this myself, and I'd rather not waste an intensive resource when I can like literally just do it myself. Like, it's just like not a big deal. And it's better that I have like stuff for like my finances. Like, I think it's better that I have like an actual grip on it. Otherwise, I'm going to start to just feel disconnected from it, and that is going to cause me stress. That kind of uncertainty is going to really throw me in an OCD spiral. And I don't use it for a lot of stuff, but I think that was a funny kind of use of AI. Like, Descript has leaned into using AI features, and it has categorized old features under AI features just so that it's like collectively under one now like prompting system for like quote unquote doing kind of like magic, like what feel like magical things to the script, like removing the word gaps, like removing the filler words, like because it transcribes the script, bro. And so I don't need to tell you how amazing this program is, but I'll keep going. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to keep going. But it thinks I'm humble. Humility is one of my values, actually. I used to say that, and then I was like, oh my fucking God. Like, what? And not to say that it's not a value of mine, but I don't think there's any virtue in not cheering for yourself necessarily. I think that there is a line of like, that you cross into like braggadociousness, and I think that line is ever changing and is dependent on the person and the context and like so many factors of whether someone is being like excessively self-righteous. I know that there is a line, but I do not think that it is clear. And thus and therefore, I think I was just trying to comment on the Descript stuff and saying like, as a person who uses AI professionally, and not like I use it better than others or like to a certain qualification, like someone who uses it for my profession, I think that Descript's use of AI, like I think categorizing old stuff under the AI like tag or the AI title, if you will, is fine and dandy. I kind of don't care if anything, it might ward people off from using those features. Just a thought. But I do understand trying to like centralize the process of making these kind of like broad sweeping, what feel like magical changes across your script or across your video, if you will. Across your script, if you will. I don't know, whatever. Let's get into the topics. Okay, this is episode 16, and so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 topics to go over. First of all, we have life is like a game of baseball, and so I've formerly said on this podcast that life is like a game of Yahtzee, in that it is random chance, even though we can make predictions about like your likelihood to roll stuff over a long period of time. Each roll is true. It has the same odds of anything happening. Like literally anything could happen because it's short-term probability. Like you could be the case that this doesn't work. And so I'm saying I think that baseball is like that, and I think this takes it to another level because obviously Yahtzee is a simple game. Like Yahtzee is very simple, and if you've not played Yahtzee, it's a simple game. I won't describe it for you. You can go look that up on the internet. But life is like a game of baseball in that like these long-term stats are controversial in the community, and I didn't know this until recently that they're controversial in the community because if a pitcher is pitching for many years, they can get statistics that point to different attributes of their skill, of their throwing, of their speed, of like whatever it is, and they're able to like fine tune what they train in order to like adapt to these statistics. And is that, I don't know, is that fair? Is that right? I think there's even more controversy in like I don't know, I've heard Colin say that like some people think the stats stuff is like ruining baseball, and I would say like it feels like baseball has always been a game of statistics, and like don't quote me on this, but this, it seems that like there are so many pitches thrown every game, and you also like, I didn't realize that in the professional leagues they're phasing out pitchers. Like every pitcher gets 5 days of rest after they pitch, you know, like 60 to 90 pitches or something. Like they're required, they have, that's like they're right, they have mandatory rest. Oh my god, you guys, I forgot I have a moon lamp. Shout out to my mom for getting this for me. Oh my god, I don't know how I'm gonna turn it on. Give me a sec. And if I may be the first to say this to you today we're gonna steal the moon, my minions, and we'll do it together, and I will take the glory. That's my recollection of how the Despicable Me movie went. But so back to baseball. So one thing is that they come up with new statistics on a regular basis, and so in some ways I can imagine that makes it hard to compare newer players and older players because they just simply didn't have the same like access to information. But I am committed to the idea that I might need to do some further research. And by further research, I mean I need to talk to Colin because he has given me examples of this, but I have gone ahead and forgotten them, and they're not coming to me, and this article that I'm reading is not outlining them, and I don't want to sit here for like 30 minutes. So we're going to move on to the next topic, and we'll readdress this next episode. So I teased last episode that I had written a song, and I need to admit to you guys that the subject of the song was nicotine, and so I'm going to talk about that for a little bit. I famously said that I quit smoking cigarettes last episode. Sorry, I'm just trying to align my timeline because, to make a long fucking story short, I went ahead and bought a pack of Juul pods, not sponsored. I already had a Juul because I didn't want to buy disposables anymore because I said I don't like the energy around this environmental impact. Like, this just feels irresponsible, and I think the other ones like are much more packed with nicotine, whereas a Juul is much less intense, in my opinion. And so and somebody I know had been using a Juul in their like addiction help program, whatever. They were like, switch to a Juul. That is like the start of your recovery. And I was like, okay, I'm committed to the idea that I don't want to do this forever. So I did go buy a Juul. I did when I quit vaping. And God, do I feel embarrassed saying this? I'm like, if somebody else told me this, I would not think this about them, but I'm like feeling a lot of shame about it. So when I quit vaping this most recent time, I switched to cigarettes. I started hand rolling cigarettes because I already had tobacco, because I had started rolling spliffs, whatever, and I don't roll spliffs anymore. So, but I did want to use this tobacco. I did have this tobacco and I did want to smoke it and experience a nicotine buzz, God forbid. And maybe I don't need to be so judgmental to myself. I do feel, however, like I was doing a good job of not being addicted to it for a long time, and I kind of like, I guess, I don't know, it feels like my fault. It feels like I like pushed it, and like I fucked around and I found out, and I will say it makes it harder to hate my dad, famously an alcoholic, and I just continue to like gain more compassion for him as my life goes on. Also, additional context, he is no longer with us on this planet, unless, depends what you believe. I like to, in his honor, think that he has been reincarnated, and hopefully life is a little easier for him, I guess. I don't know. So being addicted to nicotine makes it harder to hate him. It is still obviously frustrating, and I don't think that I really hate him, but we don't really need to get into the absolute depths of my relationship with my father, but maybe another episode. I did go ahead and buy a pack of Juul pods, and then I did go ahead and write a song about it. And so I was confused earlier because I thought that I wrote the song, because I talked about songwriting for 30 seconds in last episode, but during last episode I also said I quit smoking cigarettes. And so was I lying to you guys? Did I just catch myself in a lie? Like, I don't know. This feels like I'm voicing my like OCD spiral out loud. And so, and I know I have said like OCD spiral like 3 times in this episode. I'm just kind of like finally starting to identify those things happening in my psyche, and so it's very top of mind for me. Like, identifying it makes me feel less responsible for it. Like, it's not my fault that I'm like thinking this way, or like my thoughts, kind of the energy of like my thoughts are not of me, they are like things that happen to me. And like my actions are what is more important, because I can have like an unsavory thought and then not do anything about it, and that is fine. Like, that's not a big deal. So anyway, so I will probably continue to call that stuff out, and I am spiraling a little bit about this nicotine addiction, and I'm also trying to just be like honestly, I did it because it's like I don't want to give you fuel for your fire, but I do want to be real and raw. Like, I'm trying to be forthcoming here. And if I talked about fucking quitting last episode, then it would feel disingenuous not to tell you that I like relapsed. And so I relapsed. My justification was that it's summer and you can take that or leave it. That is your prerogative. But I did write a song about it, and I said in my note here, since I can't shut the fuck up about nicotine, I wrote a song about it. And so we'll see if that song ever sees the light of day. I would be inclined to believe that the first song I've written, the first lyrics that I've like put to page, are probably not going to be ones that stick around, and that is totally chill. And maybe I will not want to have my Logic Nicki song, and not Nicki Minaj, Nicki as in that's the name of the song. It's a song about nicotine, which I remember somebody coming up to me and saying like, there's this guy and there's this song, and it's just like so good. It's just like so raw and vulnerable and like blah 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 blah. And it was Nicki by Logic, and I was like, oh my god, I love Logic, because at the time loved Logic. And so I have not returned to his discography in the last few years. I remember taking a step back in more like 5 years ago, and I was like, this is fine, like this is good, this is all right. Like taking a look back at his older albums, not like his original like debuts and mixtapes and stuff, but like, and oh my god, I don't even remember the names of the albums anymore, but I mean like Incredible True Story for sure, and the one before that where Nicki is on that, and like gang related, and I don't remember the other ones. Maybe I'll go take a look back at that. But writing a song about nicotine and feeling like really ashamed for using it did not make me feel better when I thought about the Logic song. It did leave me feeling, I don't know, it left me feeling both ways. Because it left me feeling like, oh my god, because of obviously Logic has been like clowned on, and he also, for like good reason, let me make that perfectly clear, like he has been clowned on because he's very clownable. It's right for the picking, but it also made me feel like, okay, here's somebody else struggling with this same thing, and like, whatever, you guys get it, like, whoa, being vulnerable is important. And so that is in effect what I was saying about Noah Khan last week, is like, he is being vulnerable. He's being vulnerable on the wax. He's revealing his authentic thoughts and feelings on the disc, and good for him. Like, maybe, and if I'm gonna have a brand of music, it's gonna be vulnerable, like, and I do think that is what makes good music. And so I'm here to say that there's a lot of good music, but I think that good music is vulnerable, and I think that music is inherently vulnerable, because it's you saying like, this is me, and this is what I think is not only good but like worth sharing. And I think that is something that, this is something I'm hypothesizing a little bit, like that's something that artists take seriously. And it's been beautiful to see that with my friends, like to see them like take their art extremely seriously makes me be like, oh, like I have to treat it differently. And so I'm trying to do that with this podcast, being like, this is, dare I say, this is my art. Like, this is not my only art, but this is one of the ways that I like express my creativity and my and like performance. I'm here alone in my house. This is a performance. This is for an audience. Like, this is inherently that. And so anyways, I think that this is like a spoken word art in a way, like, and yeah. The next topic I want to talk about is the idea, like, that I have a few recipes on my phone and like in my email inbox and in like Pinterest, that this is obviously like my recipes are in disparate places, and I would like them to all be in the same spot, and I'd like them to be accessible to me in my kitchen. And I do not like looking at recipes on my phone, because my phone like screen will turn off or something, or like my hands are dirty and I don't want to like touch my phone to scroll down or something, and so whatever. So I'm having a very 21st century problem, and I'm considering handwriting all of my recipes, like going to the source and then handwriting it in my own format. And I think that'd be really awesome, because then I would have it communicated to me in a way that makes sense to me. And then I would have it like physically in my kitchen. And who doesn't love the idea of like a scuffed and rugged recipe card? Because I was like, that is something that I can pass down to future generations. But I was like, if this is originally another person's recipe, should I cite my sources? What if the link breaks? What then? Should I just do my best? But like, somebody else's generational recipe is now just like usurped into my generational recipes. And maybe that's not that crazy. Like, maybe that is literally just like sharing culture. I guess there's something about that gives me pause, but maybe it doesn't give me stop. So think on that. Let me know what you think, if I should cite my sources on my recipe card. The next topic is actually something that we'll have to address next episode. We're gonna have to table it until next week, and that is the movie Burn After Reading, allegedly starring Brad Pitt, if I remember correctly, and maybe not starring, but like just featuring. But I had this recommended in like really certain terms, and I was like, I have to I have to watch this. Burn After Reading is a confusing name for a movie, obviously, but it obviously makes sense to it. Like, I get it. it just confuses my silly little brain. So we'll address that hopefully next week. Hopefully I remember to watch it. That being said, Love Island does start this week in 2 days time. It's Saturday going into Sunday, the weekend before June 1st. And so June 1st is famously when Love Island airs, right? And so I will be tuning into that, hopefully a few times a week. I definitely can't do daily, but I do like having something to look forward to and something to like catch up on. There are videos that Colin and I watch together on YouTube that are released, periodically. And so one of those is Dana and the Wolf. And so I've decided that they're going to be the content shout out for this episode. They are making important content around polyamory, but it is framed as like a drama. Like it is like I'm watching a TV show, but it is on YouTube, and the episodes are all under 10 minutes or like approximately 10 minutes. And so it's shot and like acted in beautifully, and they very vulnerably in their art address just the experience of like being polyamorous. And I just think that they are great role models in the polyamory community. So my next topic was to actually talk about Descript, but I already talked about it earlier in the video. So we got the ad read out of the way. Dare I say, as it came up authentically in my content, like as it came up, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to let y'all know that I have an affiliate code, but it's also because I like reached out to them to engage in their program because I use Descript to edit my podcast, and I think that it's a really good tool. Like I use it because it's good, because it gets the job done. So we're doing a lot of topic skipping today for only having 7 topics, but I'd be willing to bet that we're at least 30 minutes of footage. And if we're going for 40 minutes, then like we've got a few ahead of us. That sounds like par for the course. So the next topic, I remember addressing vines on an earlier episode. And so I recently was talking to somebody about like depression watching Vine compilations. And I was like, the last time I went back to a Vine compilation, it just like really did not hit. And it made me really nervous to try other ones because like Vines have held such a special place in my life. In my like comedic journey, I guess, many like pieces of media that I rely on and that I've relied on to like be funny in certain situations are from Vines. And they're ones that like, even if somebody doesn't know the Vine, it's still funny. And so like, whoever threw that paper, your mom's a hoe. You don't have to get the reference to know that it like is a reference and that it's silly and funny. This person that I was talking to suggested that like you gotta find the right compilation. This person made the point that it's kind of like obviously the video is like a curation and it's like a DJ, curating vines for you. I realize this is not that like crazy of a thought. The idea that Vine compilations are curated, like obviously they're curated, but it was fun to think about it like a DJ and like they're slinging vines at me and they're like, oh, they're gonna love this right after this one. That it is like an intentional sequence throughout the entire video and not just like a list of them, like that they just put them together. And so if somebody uploads a video of another person's content, like other people's vines, does not edit it does not edit it for order, but simply like downloads them and then puts them and then doesn't change the order, just like puts them sequentially. Is that art? Because they're curating. Maybe they're not an artist, but they are a curator. And so there's a word for that. Awesome. So fun that we identified that. Moving on to our last topic. This came to me earlier this evening when I was having a little cereal bowl and I put some protein milk in it. Okay. I put 1/3 of a can of protein milk in this like gorgeous little bowl of cereal, and the cereal is Honey Nut Cheerios, not sponsored, but they sell them at Costco and I like to just like snack on them dry. They're just a sweet little delicious treat, great for my gut. And I was sharing with Colin how like the Cheerios when they're dry are good because they have that sweet coating on the outside, but once you put them in milk, that sweet coating like rinses off or like dissolves, and that made the Cheerio eating experience less good than just eating them dry. I was like, I should have just ate them dry and then sipped my protein milk, back and forth, a cereal charcuterie of sorts. And my conclusion was that not enough people are talking about the anatomy of cereal, and that this really only comes up when, this kind of critique only comes up during communal experiences of cereal eating. And I guess it comes up on the internet a little bit. I'm thinking basically people have made memes about cereal, or the first time somebody shared that bowl that separates your milk and your cereal, and it was like, whoa, 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 guys, they found something, a problem that we're all experiencing, and they solved it. Isn't that fucking nuts? I remember seeing stuff like that alongside actual funny memes, because it was shared as a life hack that was so universally game changing that it was everyone's gonna love this. It was a part of the curation of content. And so I would be surprised if you've never seen that bowl. I would believe that everybody on the internet has seen that bowl. That doesn't feel like a stretch to say. But I otherwise was saying that critique of these communal or these things that something as ubiquitous as eating cereal that almost every American has probably engaged in. And I say American, who cares what I mean? It feels I don't know if cereal is popular in other countries, but it's definitely popular here. And the really only time we have communal cereal eating is in grade school or pre-K. And at that point, we don't have complex enough thoughts to be the coating of my cereal is rinsing off my cereal, and so I don't like it as much as when it's dry. But then again, maybe they do. Again, I'm just saying things, and I'm not a bastion of true and factual information as much as I would love to be. I'm doing my best to tell you what I believe are true accounts, but I'm letting you know when I'm not a hundo P. I'm not hundo P on childhood development, and damn, kids impress me all the time with what they know, and I'm oh my gosh, I'm you guys are so damn smart. And then it makes me remember holding complex subject matter as a child, and I'm yeah, I just don't remember when that kind of cognizant thought lined up on the scale of age. But yeah, I don't know at what age kids are able to say I don't like cereal and hypothesize why. But I think that we need to be talking more about the anatomy of cereal with children probably, and with adults definitely. I think that we need to get these cereal companies to start innovating again. Speaking of innovating, I'm sitting here why are Cheerios in that shape? Was it easier to make that shape than it would be to make a solid pellet? Or is this because it makes it for a better eating experience? Did they optimize it in that sense, but went ahead and said, we're going to leave the sweet coating on the outside so that it gets rinsed off by the milk every single time? And they said that's not a problem. I want us putting pressure on these cereal companies. I want Big Cereal to be shaking in their boots because they're giving us a subpar product. Or maybe give us both. Maybe give it to and maybe I don't need the sweet coating to be on the outside. Maybe putting it in some other way, shape, or form makes it better as a dry experience too. Why are we not considering that? Somebody go tell what's the company, General Mills. Someone get General Mills on the phone. I used to know someone who worked at General Mills. Now they got laid off. Boo. We have an anti shout out on the podcast to General Mills. And you guys, I think that is it. That is the end of my topic list. And I've kind of completed my thoughts. I guess let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about this episode in the comments. Please consider giving me a like and consider subscribing to the channel. I do post infrequently, so it's unlikely that you will see content from me. But if you do see it, I would love if you engaged with it. That would be really, really awesome. If you are feeling favorably toward it and toward me, please engage with it. so that other people can find my content, like other people like us. Do you know what I mean? Like other fellow kin of ours. Goodbye from me and Arthur. Thank you so much for watching this episode. I will link the content shout out down below, Dana and the Wolf. And then music for the week is maybe Experimental Rap by JPEG Mafia. I just finally listened through the whole thing and it's fun. It's fun. I like it. Like every time I listen to a Peggy album, I am like, I like that. I like that. I don't want to listen to it on a regular basis necessarily. Like I don't find myself returning to a lot of Peggy music, but I've heard a lot of it. I wouldn't say I've heard all of it, that's for sure. But Experimental Rap, good. I've still been listening to Noah Khan. We listened to it on the way to Devil's Lake today, a 2-hour drive, and I was singing along the whole time. So I'm faithful in my assessment of Noah Khan in the previous episode. He's amazing. He's amazing and I love what he's doing. So you better believe I'm excited to see him at Bonnaroo in like a week and a half. It's well and truly coming up. I did make some body jewelry today. Shout out to me. It's a just a waist chain, but it's a waist elastic for starters, and it's with those like tiny little beads. Like, oh, my god, it's right here. I have it wrapped around my wrist right now because truthfully, Colin had the idea to do that, and he didn't see it as like solving a problem. He just saw it as like I could also do that, and I was like, oh, this would be great if like for some reason it's like irritating my tummy. Or for some other reason I need to take it off my tummy. And so, anyway, thank you for listening again. Love you so much. See you in next week's episode. I'm going to try to commit to a weekly episode. I think that'd be crazy. I think I might try to commit to a bi-weekly episode. Let me be real. It is, well, I'm going to fuck around and I'm going to find out. I'm going to find out if I can keep up that pace. So, until next time. Mwah, mwah, mwah.